Good morning. Good morning. Hey, all right. So my name is Scott Ernst. I am the president of Kantar Media Compete, and I, along with the rest of our team today, will be your hosts. So thank you for coming. We're really, really excited that you're here with us. I have the pleasure of kicking things off today for our Digital Connections event titled Digital Disruption. And we have a fantastic lineup of speakers and content to share with you. But before I turn the mic over, I want to cover three things with you. Why we chose the theme, Digital Disruption, a very, very quick run through on the agenda to give you some context of what we'll cover today, and I'll share with you my goals for the day and what you can expect coming out of today. First, kind of our theme. As I thought about the event and was preparing these comments, I got stuck a little bit. I struggled a little bit with the combination of the theme of the series. So the series is Digital Connection, and the theme for this year's event is Digital Disruption. So I got stuck a little bit on this idea of digital connections and digital disruption, right? So I thought about those two things, and what struck me is when I think about connection, I think about bringing things together, pulling them together, combining things. And when I think about disruption, I think about breaking things apart. So how do you put together, building things together and then breaking them apart in the same context? So to think about that, I kind of had to unpack that a little bit. So from our perspective, from a Kantar Media Compete perspective, connections are about understanding how consumers build a relationship with and continue a relationship with a brand. In our increasingly digital world, that demands a more holistic view of a consumer's path to purchase, requiring that we do some different things. It requires that we connect new kinds of data and disparate data in ways to create new analytical insights for our clients. It also creates an imperative for us to engage with clients and our research and agency partners together in a way that we haven't done before. Right? So this idea of connections, I can kind of get my head wrapped around a little bit. Now, enter disruption. So explosive new technology, new platforms, new ways for consumers to engage with brands has disrupted the way that consumers interact both online and offline. This has been a really good thing for us as consumers, access to technology, new ways to communicate. But it's really made it a lot more difficult for our clients and for advertisers building relationships with those consumers. So still struggling with this connection and disruption, I had an opportunity to think back and come up with a kind of a saying or a motto or this idea. And the idea is, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Right? Have mothers tell you that at some point? At one point, I think I used that in my college essay somehow to figure out how to bring some concepts together. So the more things change, the more they stay the same. So we couldn't be in an industry where things changed more dramatically. So on the cab over this morning, I thought about things like, at this point, as of the first quarter, there have been 25 billion apps downloaded in the iTunes store. That's 15 times more apps than music that's been downloaded through iTunes if you control for time. Pinterest burst into the top 50 site in the US with 23 million monthly unique visitors last month, coming seemingly out of nowhere. And then I think about 29% of US adults currently have either a tablet or an e-reader. So 1 in 3 US adults carry around with them a tablet or an e-reader. These are great forms, great examples of disruption. But what hasn't changed is the importance to understand the sum, the collection of all these experiences, to understand how these experiences and interactions create brand and sales outcomes. So are my marketing programs building awareness? Are my marketing programs helping me sell more? So we chose the theme digital disruption because the marketing realities of today are not as simple as they once were, not as simple sometimes as we'd like them to be. But for the brands that can harness this disruption, there's an opportunity to create a disproportionate share, to gain a disproportionate reward in this world of connection and disruption. And that disproportionate reward can be measured by increased revenue, increased competitive differentiation, and improved shareholder value. So with the theme kind of laid out, let's quickly go through and look at the agenda. All right. So we've basically created the morning content and then the afternoon content separated by breaks and network opportunities in between. So in the morning, we'll have 3 successive presentations, one on a digital perspective from a WPP point of view. We'll then hear about monetizing Twitter in 140 characters or less. And then we'll have an informative and entertaining presentation on marketing science. In the middle of that, we'll have Stephen DeMarco, our CMO, come up and describe and help kind of navigate us through the morning content. We'll then break, right? And I'll talk more about the importance of breaks in a minute. When we come back after the break, we've got a series of 3 successive back-to-back presentations, basically on the connected consumer. First, how do I analyze them? Where are they? Next, what happens when a life-changing event enters into the equation, like having a baby? And then taking a look further out in understanding kind of what happens and what's the future of a connected consumer. We then we'll wrap up the day with what I expect to be a very spirited and entertaining panel discussion where we'll hash out who's going to win the battle for the consumer, either pure play brands or multi-channel brands. So stay tuned, stick around. That promises to be a really, really entertaining session for us today. So we've talked about the theme, we've talked a little bit about the agenda. Let's talk about the goals. So from the start of our planning on this process, what we wanted to do is create a different kind of event for you. Not an in-person conference or a focus group or any of the typical things that you get to do. What we wanted to do is bring together like-minded marketers to share and learn from each other in a way that we often don't have time or space to do in the normal course of our day. We recognize that you've made a big commitment to be here today, and we want you to get everything that you can out of the event. So how we help you do that is we've pulled together world-class content, world-class speakers for you. We've got the right level of senior folks to interact with and to build personal and professional relationships with. We've carved out lots of time for networking opportunities, and from my view, the networking opportunities at the break and at lunch are as important as the content that we go through. And in fact, probably more important when it comes to how do you leverage what you've learned today and how do you build relationships that can carry on post the day-to-day. And we have a fantastic venue overlooking the London skyline. And I can't see it from here, but I saw at one point the sun starting to rise on the horizon, or sun coming out further down. So maybe that's a little bit of a metaphor for moving from me to Martin, perhaps. So welcome to Digital Connections. Yeah. The only thing I can promise you, is I'm not going to get any better. So stay tuned. All right. So it's now my pleasure to introduce Sir Martin Sorrell, Chief Executive and Architect of WPP, the world's largest advertising and marketing services company, but you probably already know that. What you might not know, however, is Martin's commitment to digital within WPP. So while other leaders have struggled in creating a digital strategy in their own organizations, what Martin and WPP have done is really kind of lived up to the challenge of helping our clients succeed in a digital world. So while others are focused on a digital strategy, WPP is focused on helping clients succeed in a digital world. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Sir Martin Sorrell.